This is Valor Mode. What's up, guys? This is Valor Mode, and today we are going to talk about Black history again, y'all. Remember, Black history starts from the Bible, and I got a book that I just picked up. Let me see. Reading While Black. Okay, you can't really see that very well. Let me see. Here we go. Reading While Black. African American Biblical Interpretation as an Experience in Hope. Okay, the author of this book is Esau McCaulley. McCaulley. And Southside Rabbi has an interview with this intelligent man, and I just wanted to give you a taste of some of the ideas that you'll be getting from that book. Let's check it out. Let's check it out.
Special sensitivity to blackness. And one of the things that you said, Esau, that I was hoping that you could speak to, is that there is this sort of hypocrisy that comes barreling into the room like the Kool-Aid man through the wall when you start talking about black stuff in the same way that you talk about other things. So, for example, go ahead. Yeah. If you already know where I'm going, please speak to it.
Let me say two things. I think we need to make sure people understand. Because in case somebody listens to this, they should know. Like, here's some game that you will watch people recycle, like run through black leaders and intellectuals, and it's like there's this search for the perfect black person who they can't seem to find. In other words, they want someone who's black enough to identify with the culture and bring black people in, but doesn't challenge like the status quo. And so there's always these people are anointed, and then they disappoint them and they go, okay, this isn't a black person. Oh, KB can't do it. And then you can sometimes have during your moment as that black person, you can think, oh, I can actually achieve it. But this is what I want to let you know. If they will tell you to be careful of somebody else, you will be that person that they will say to the next black person. So you might as well tell the truth.
Facts.
And so you just have to learn how to be your authentic self without becoming bitter.
Sure.
Now, as it relates to strong affirmation of black culture, I talk about this all of the time. We literally have a thing in the culture called Anglophiles. People who just love British culture.
Yes. Even the theologians.
British
theology.
British literature.
British literature.
British evangelicalism. Right.
Yes.
So you can literally say, I just love British stuff.
Yeah. Even when you think about people talking about the classics, they're European. Or even in the worship movement with Australian evangelicals. Right. There's a whole theology there.
There's a whole flavor. And nobody really says, you can't say British evangelicalism or Australian evangelicalism. But the moment you have strong affirmations of blackness, then people start going, well, hold on. I talk about this book. I've talked about this in every interview. Nobody's called me. You remember this? You have to be deep in evangelicalism. But it was called the Celtic form of evangelism in the 90s, where they said, here's how the Celts evangelize people. And this book sold like wildfire. How did the Celts imagine if I put a book out, the black form of evangelism. Well, you can't talk about race. I don't see color. And so there is this sense of, how about the last one? The Germans. Everybody who's read German theology will understand that the German theological method, its ethos and its tenor. You can tell when I'm reading a German theological book versus a British theological book versus an American evangelical theology book. They feel different.
Right.
And people have talked about tracing the German heritage in biblical studies. So what I'm saying is, if everybody else gets a culture and interpret the tradition, why can't black people? And the reason that black people can't, this is the important part, because black hermeneutics are not simply neutral. They're challenging the dominant culture. So you can put the German beside the British.
They're dangerous.
But so let me tell you about this article that never got published. I pitched it. They should have published it, but they didn't publish it. I said I want to write an article about black history. And this may seem like it's a rabbit trail, but it's actually not.
No. Take your time, brother. Take your time.
When I first started like learning Black history. I learned Black history kind of like as exemplar. Here's, Carver and all of the peanuts. And so it's just like, here's this. So that's the first version. The second version that I learned was like neglected history. Here's a Black person that you didn't know about, hidden figures, and you kind of correct the historical record. But neither one of those really challenged the status quo, because the exemplar just means if you're an amazing Black person, you can do something. The second version is it's interesting to know, but it doesn't really change the culture. What I began to realize is the third form of Black history is actually the most important, which is this. We tell the story beginning at the Mayflower, and we kind of follow this person and his family through history. And if you tell the story of America that way, it feels a certain way. What happens if you start the American story on the slave ship? And you ask the question, what does America look like for that slave? And how does he tell his story? What happens when you follow his family through history? You get a different account of America.
Right.
Now listen, when you have a Christian, this slave converts to Jesus. And he's trying to make sense of what it means to follow Jesus. You get, once again, a different account of history.
Right.
And so you have then Black Christianity and Black exegesis at every point is challenging this national myth in a way that is really, really complicated. And so when I talk about that, so you can't simply say, I'm going to listen to the Black church and not understand that listening to the Black church is itself a challenge to the way we talk about Christianity. Now, the amazing thing about this, and sorry, this may seem like this is where the whole thing hits home.
Take your time.
What you end up with, though, is not a different form of Christianity in the sense that you keep the Trinity, you keep Christology, you keep Scripture.
Right.
And so you don't get, and this is what people fear, if I listen to Black people, does Christianity kind of fall to the ground? No, you just get a chastened and humbled Christianity that is aware of its own capacity for evil.
Right.
And that has a bias towards those who are vulnerable.
Right.
Man, now, if you can't get something off of that, then I don't know. If you was listening very carefully, please, even if you don't give the book a chance, listen to the podcast. It's called Southside, Rabbi. I'll leave a link in the description. KB, man, very intellectual person. And I listen to them quite often, and they have a lot of challenging insight, but good insight. Now, remember, guys, Black history starts from the Bible, starts in the Bible. Let's keep up the battle.